The Marvel Universe has more than 10,000 characters. Perhaps 40 are famous enough that a person who has never opened a comic book would recognize them on a lunchbox. Nearly all of those 40 came out of one office, from a small group of men, in roughly the same 60 months. 3 of them did most of the work. Jack Kirby drew and largely conceived Captain America, along with the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, Thor, the X-Men, the Avengers, Black Panther, Doctor Doom, Galactus, the Silver Surfer, Magneto, Loki, the Inhumans, and the Eternals. Stan Lee was the editor, dialogue writer, and co-plotter on nearly all of it, and the promoter who turned a struggling publisher into a personality-driven brand. Steve Ditko produced a smaller body of work with an extraordinary concentration of value: Spider-Man, almost the entire Spider-Man Rogues Gallery, and Doctor Strange. The characters made in that office between 1961 and 1966 now underpin the highest-grossing film franchise in history and one of the largest merchandising empires on Earth. Most Marvel stories circle the same 3 ideas: that greatness is a burden, that power arrives uninvited and ruins your life, that the hero is broke, anxious, and behind on rent. Jacob Kurtzberg, later Jack Kirby, was born on the 28th of August, 1917, on Suffolk Street on Manhattan's Lower East Side, to Austrian Jewish immigrants. The neighborhood was violent and organized into street gangs, and Kirby ran with them. You can see it in the work: the bodies twisting midair, the punches that land with real weight. That came from a man who had actually been in fights. In the mid-1930s, he found work at Fleischer Studios as an in-betweener on Popeye cartoons. He then joined the Lincoln newspaper syndicate, where he drew everything from adventure strips to advice columns under a rotating set of pen names, and eventually settled on Jack Kirby. In 1939, he joined Fox Feature Syndicate and met a young editor named Joe Simon. The partnership that followed became one of the most productive in the history of the medium. Stanley Martin Lieber, later Stan Lee, was born on the 28th of December 1922 in Manhattan to Romanian Jewish immigrants. Lee described a childhood defined by his parents arguing about money in a cramped apartment. He graduated from DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx at 16, and in 1939 took a job as an assistant at a small comics outfit called Timely Publications. His first duties were fetching lunch, refilling inkwells, and erasing pencil lines from finished pages. His first published work was a 2-page text filler in Captain America Comics number 3 in 1941. He signed it Stan Lee, splitting his real name in half and saving Stanley Lieber for the serious literature he assumed he would write later. Stephen Ditko was born on the 2nd of November 1927 in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, to Slovak immigrants. He finished high school in 1945, served in the army in occupied Germany. He studied under Jerry Robinson, the man who had drawn Batman and helped create the Joker. He broke into comics in 1953. A year later, he caught tuberculosis and went home to Johnstown for a year. He came back and took work at Charlton Comics, which paid the lowest rates in the industry and interfered the least. Fantastic Four number 1, cover dated November 1961, is the accepted starting line. 4 people are bombarded by cosmic rays on an unauthorized rocket flight and come back changed. They have no secret identities. They argue constantly. One of them is a rock monster who hates what he has become. They live in a New York City with real street names. Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk after surviving a gamma bomb explosion. Thor brings Norse mythology into modern comics through an exiled god wielding Mjolnir. Ant-Man debuts as the scientist Hank Pym. Then, Amazing Fantasy number 15 introduces Spider-Man, a teenage hero whose greatest struggles are personal rather than superhuman. Peter Parker deals with school, money, loneliness, and guilt after failing to stop the thief who kills Uncle Ben. His defining lesson: with great power, there must also come great responsibility. The industrialist Tony Stark becomes Iron Man after building an armored suit to escape captivity. The X-Men present mutants as people born different. The Avengers unite Marvel's heroes into a single team. Doctor Strange introduces the mystical side of Marvel. In 1964, Daredevil debuts as Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer whose remaining senses are heightened to superhuman levels after a childhood accident. By 1966, the scale had changed completely. Fantastic Four number 48 to number 50 introduce Galactus, not a traditional villain, but a cosmic force of nature that consumes entire worlds to survive. His herald, the Silver Surfer, rebels after witnessing humanity's courage and compassion. Fantastic Four number 52 introduces Black Panther, the first black superhero in mainstream American comics. King T'Challa rules Wakanda, a technologically advanced African nation untouched by colonialism. Nearly every character carrying Marvel's modern box office was invented in those 60 months. Marvel began as timely publications in 1939, took the Marvel name around 1961, and was sold off repeatedly, the creators never seeing a cut. Ronald Perlman bought it in 1989 for $82.5 million. His 1994 move into self-distribution helped collapse an already overheated comics market. The stock fell from $35 to just over $2, and Marvel filed for bankruptcy in December 1996 with roughly $610 million in debt. It emerged in 1998, merged with Toy Biz, having survived by licensing its film rights cheaply, X-Men and Fantastic Four to Fox, Spider-Man to Sony, Hulk to Universal, and watching other studios keep the profits. The turnaround came from a gamble in 2005. Marvel borrowed $525 million against the film rights to 10 second-tier characters. Among them were Captain America and Black Panther. If the films flopped, the bank took the characters. Iron Man opened in 2008 and worked. Disney bought Marvel for about $4 billion in 2009. By 2026, 37 films and over $32 billion. The highest grossing franchise in the history of cinema, not only in raw dollars, but adjusted for inflation too. In the summer of 2026, Spider-Man Brand New Day opened to $360 million in North America alone, the biggest opening weekend the medium has ever recorded. It broke a record held by Avengers Endgame.